music starts, bro.
We go together like lemon, like a diggity ding dong. Remember forever like shoo-bop, shoo-wada, wada, yippity doopty doo. Ching, 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 shoo-bop. That's the way it should be. Oh, yeah. We're one of a kind, like dip-dip-dip-dip-doo-wop, dip-dip-dip. Our names are signs. Boogity, 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 shoo-dee-wop, shoo-wop. Ching, 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 shoo-wop. We'll always be like one. Whoa, 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 whoa. When we go out at night, and the stars are shining bright, up in the skies above.
Or at the high school dance, where we can find romance. Maybe it might be love. Oh, yeah! Lamba, lamba, lamba,
Diggity ding ding dong, shoo-bop, shoo-wada, wada, yippity doo doo.
chang, 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 chang,
Dip 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 doo wop doo doo.
boogie, 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 shoo-dee, shoo-bop, shoo-bop, sha-na-na-na-na-na, yippee, 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 wop, and
We're for each other, we're whopping, we want the wop and boo. Just like my brothers, sha-na-na-na-na, yippity dip doo.
chang, 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 shoo-bop,
We'll always be together.
oh, yeah!
We'll always be together. We'll always be together. We'll always be together. Shake it, shake, shake, C, 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 A, A minor, F, 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 G.
What's playing on the radio? Why do I just swaying to and fro? I have never heard that song before, but if I don't hear it anymore, it's still familiar to me, sends a thrill right through me, 'cause those chords remind me of the night that I first fell in love too. Those magic changes, my heart arranges a melody. It's never the same, a melody. It's calling your name and begs you, please come back to me.
La 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 la.
Please return to me.
La 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 la.
Play again. The music I wanna hear is once again you whisper in my ear.
Oh, my darling. See, see, see how much I want you. Hey, 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 a million ways. F, 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 earnestly love you. G, 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 I'm in a haze. I want you, I need you, I love you forever and ever and ever and ever and ever more. Forever and ever more.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Grease Lightning.
We'll have a roller head lifter and 4 barrel squats, oh yeah.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. A fuel injection cut off and chrome-bladed rods, oh yeah.
With the 4-speed on the floor, they'll be waiting at the door. You know without a doubt, I'll be really making out in Grease Lightning.
Go, 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 go.
Grease Lightning, you're burning up the corner. Grease Lightning, go, Grease Lightning, go,
Grease lightning, you're coasting through the heat lab trial.
Grease Lightning, go, Grease Lightning.
The chicks will dream about Grease Lightning. Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. chicks will dream. Fabrice Lightman, 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 Lightman.
Distinguished guests, please welcome to the stage Audrey Burkett.
Good evening, everyone. It is my honor to officially welcome you all to the Evansville Regional Economic Partnerships Annual Meeting and Dinner. For those of you I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, I'm Audrey Burkett, and I serve as the Senior Vice President of Strategy and Operations for EREP. As we envision our future tonight, we can all agree that the students of the Central Choir will make this region's future even brighter. We may be biased, but there is one student in particular, Riley Broshears, our very own Vicki Schmidt's grandson, that has a very bright future. Please give them one more round of applause for helping us kick off this evening with a bang. Our evening purposefully also began with a boom. Thank you to the Boom Squad for energizing and entertaining us. You all have the opportunity to energize the Boom Squad with a donation to support their efforts, and a QR code can be found on the back of their program. As you enter today, you are asked a question: what one investment could transform our region? I saw responses like trails, housing, riverfront, investments in downtown. These are all great opportunities for our region, and our future is bright because of your forward thinking. Also, you just gave us a very great list for Ready 2.0, little did you know. Not sure what Ready is? Stay tuned for later in the program. As we come together this evening to celebrate the businesses and professionals who have made this past year a success, we recognize those businesses and individuals who are providing catalytic leadership to our region. You and your organization are part of our success story. Though many of you have been involved in our community building work, tonight we will formally invite you to help us with our shared vision for regional transformation and economic growth for all. This evening, it's not possible without your generous support. We want to thank our sponsors who make this year's annual meeting and dinner possible. Please hold your applause until I have introduced all of tonight's sponsors. Gold sponsors, Centerpoint Energy and Deaconess. Signature Series sponsors, Atlas and Reckitt. Silver sponsors, Barry Global, Forvis, Cook Enterprise, Old National Bank. And a special thanks to our technology sponsor, Concept Sound and Light, our venue sponsor, Old National Events Plaza, our decor sponsor, Wild Horticulture, and our media sponsor, Town Square Media. Along with these exceptional businesses that are passionate about our community, we also want to thank our corporate table sponsors who are listed in the program and on screen. Again, thank you all. We could not be in the business of impact without your support. Now, how about a round of applause? We also want to thank and recognize the elected officials we have here tonight. They serve us ably every year, and our region prospers because we have a strong balance between the public and private sectors. As I call your name, please stand and remain standing to be recognized. Again, I thank you and ask that you hold your applause until all names are announced. State Senator Vanita Becker, State Representative Wendy McNamara, State Representative Ryan Hatfield, State Representative Tim O'Brien, Posey County Commissioner Bill Collins, Posey County Councilperson Heather Allen, Vanderburgh County Commissioner Cheryl Musgrave, Vanderburgh County Councilperson Stephanie Terry, Evansville City Councilperson Justin Elpers, Evansville City Councilperson Zach Hieronymus, Evansville City Councilperson Ben Trockman. Did I miss any other elected officials tonight? Please stand and also be recognized. We thank you for your partnership and your service to this region. Now, the annual meeting and dinner can't be all fun and games. We actually have to do some work tonight so that EREP can build upon our impact work. Governance can have the reputation for being dull, essential, sometimes tedious, most of the time boring, but you're in for a treat tonight, because those of you that have interacted with Steve Greenlee know that dull and boring are not part of his vocabulary. So that we may conduct a brief order of business, let me introduce the most engaging ever Chair of EREP's Governance Committee, Steve Greenlee, Senior Vice President of Generation Development at CenterPoint Energy. He will conduct the business portion of our evening.
Thank you, Audrey. I appreciate that. With that intro, I gotta have juggling and unicycle and playing an instrument while we do this. Jim, you gonna teach me for unicycle next year? Yeah? All right, good. All right, thanks everybody. Appreciate you being here. We do have a little bit of business to cover, so I do want to take this opportunity now to formally call to order the 2022 annual meeting of the Evansville Regional Economic Partnership. Last year, we set a record for the most efficient business meeting in EREP's storied history, which was the first meeting last year. So, shortest and longest. This year, we plan to top that by having 2 of the most efficient business meetings in one setting tonight. We're first going to have our full board meeting to elect our board and our executive committee, followed immediately by an executive committee meeting to elect our officers. One of the responsibilities of the EREP Governance Committee is to bring forward a slate of directors and officers for your consideration. Diversity is a journey and not a destination, and as this board slate was identified, EREP's guiding principle of commitment to equitable prosperity was at the forefront. This is a commitment that should be reflected in all things that we do at EREP, from programs to board leadership. The committee has worked hard to put forth an inclusive body. We know we still have work to do as we put together future boards that represent this great region that we all live and work in. Now to the slate. Look at the screen here. I will ask these individuals to stand as I present the Governance Committee's recommendation for directors and executive committee. On the screen, you'll see a list of the proposed board members for a 3-year term. This includes several new faces that you can see on the screen. And finally, I'd like to direct your attention to the list of the executive committee. This slate of board members and executive committee comes with the full support from our governance committee that made the motion to put these forward. Do I have a second? Thank you, Jim. I'd like to now call for a vote of approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Wow, good work. Thank you to everybody, and congratulations to those that were just approved. This officially concludes the Board of Directors meeting. My timing going okay, Tara? We're doing all right? Okay. All right. I now would like to call to order the Executive Committee meeting to officially appoint the officers. This set of leaders give their time, talents, and treasure to help build our vision for the future of this region. Thank you to everybody on this list for saying yes. This slate also comes with the full recommendation of the Governance Committee. Can I please get a second? Thank you, Mike. Now I'd like to call for a vote of approval. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, same? All right, thank you and congratulations. Can we give a round of applause for those folks? On behalf of the EREP Governance Committee, I want to thank our entire board for their service to this region, and this officially concludes the Governance Committee's responsibilities tonight. Now, yes, well, that was pretty good. All right, now that the official business is taken care of, we can get on to the good stuff. Appreciate everybody's patience. I'd like to please welcome to the stage Jim Ryan, CEO of Old National and Chair of EREP.
I remember that phone call when I called Steve. It said, Steve, I got a task for you. Would you chair the governance committee? We never had a governance committee before, but you got to figure it out. And he did a great job. And as Audrey said, maybe the best, most engaging governance chair we've ever had. And the only one. Well, good evening, and thank you for everyone that's here tonight. We are grateful for your support of EREP and our region. I want to welcome our new board members and thank them for their willingness and commitment to serve our region. Our board of directors are fantastic leaders who show passion and selfless dedication to bettering our region. Would the entire board of directors please stand and be recognized? One more time. EREP, as well as many of you in the room, are dedicated to making our region a nationally recognized place to call home. And whether you serve on the board, volunteer on a committee, are involved with the Tri-State Manufacturing Alliance, the Family Business Alliance, the Young Professionals Alliance, or serve as a membership ambassador, we are grateful you choose to volunteer your time with us. We had a significant milestone this year. April 1st marked the first anniversary of EREP. 1 year since the three legacy organizations came together to form the Evansville Regional Economic Partnership. And our keynote speaker, for those of you who were last year, our keynote speaker last year was Becky Skillman, and I will never forget what she said. Regionalism is an unnatural act among consenting adults. Well, this past year, consenting adults, including the Evansville Regional Sports Commission and the Downtown Economic Development Corporation, joined EREP. And soon, Posey County Economic Development Partnership will formally join EREP. So we bring these organizations together out of a position of strength, and with the idea that collaboration will make us stronger. We are still a work in progress, and probably always will be, but we have a lot to be proud of in our first year, and I can confidently say we are better together. Thank you. Talent EVV is our community vision, a strategic plan and a commitment to the bright future we envision for the Evansville region. It's about population growth, living well, a thriving workforce, and upward mobility. It's about our commitment to specific goals to improve outcomes and our chance to tell our story and compete for talent and jobs. How did we determine these goals? By listening to you and looking at the data. You'll hear more about this as Tara will be inviting you to take action to be a part of Talent EVV later this evening. We also have 50 million reasons to be proud of EREP this first year, starting with the $50 million of the READY funds awarded to our region last December. Our READY plan was the best in the state. We would not have received this funding without the leadership and the dedication of the staff at EREP. These READY dollars are helping to fund our Talent EVV work. Our READY projects are creating impact and growth opportunities for the region and are directly tied to the goals of Talent EVV. Our region has already allocated $15 million of the $50 million so far, and projects include, so far, a new YMCA facility in Gibson County, a workforce housing development in Gibson County, a multi-purpose athletic facility in Warwick County, a regional marketing campaign that tells our region's best story to attract and retain talent, site development and master planning along the transportation corridors in the region, and an expanded nursing program at the University of Southern Indiana, providing an opportunity for 180 additional nursing students over the next 3 years. These projects are designed to make our region better. Continue to follow the latest Ready updates at evansvilleregion.com. As the Regional Economic Development Organization, EREP enables business growth and attracts new businesses to our region. Economic development work is our core, and it's worth highlighting a few project wins. This past year, the team proved once again the value of regionalism and working collaboratively alongside our regional partners, where over $382 million were invested right here in our region. Some wins include DSM Engineering Materials celebrated the opening of its newly upgraded and expanded Evansville facility. The $59 million investment resulted in significant technology and sustainability improvements to meet growing demand for next-gen high-performance polymers. Warwick County saw a significant investment this year with the groundbreaking of a $150 million Kaiser aluminum facility, estimated to bring over $1 billion of economic benefit. AstraZeneca recently announced a new front entrance and an expanded visitor area and a $1.5 million enhancement to their facility in Posey County. We hear all the time, and our speaker is going to share some of this, the room for the workforce housing is a major need. Gibson County is facing an opportunity head-on with a $21 million investment. Some of the greatest impact on our region comes from small businesses. Small businesses are an integral part of the economic development and EREP. EREP's guiding principle to keep small businesses front and center. For the third year in a row, the Southwest Indiana Small Business Development Center, hosted by EREP, was recognized as the highest performing center across the state. Congratulations to the team and for all those previous wins. Let's talk about some additional EREP wins. Everyone in this room knows the importance of attracting talent at all levels to the region. Why a newcomer's guide? It's essential to get people to move here and connect them quickly. This guide is cementing that opportunity as a no-cost tool for employers. I would encourage you all to link to this tool on your career pages and use it in your recruitment process. Last year, EREP, alongside community partners, published a diversity, equity, and inclusion toolkit for employers on the EREP website. We know that no single formula will work for every company, industry, or environment. However, we believe that openly sharing these actions in a spirit of collaboration that allows organizations to achieve their goals faster. This toolkit is another excellent resource. Please consider using it. There are more updates provided in the annual reports that can be found on your table as well. And when you think about growth in the Evansville region for the last 14 years, one can't think about that without thinking about the driving force behind that, and that's Greg Wathen. This year, we celebrated Greg and his retirement after a 36-year career in economic development. Greg Wathen received the key to the City of Evansville from Mayor Lloyd Winnicky at our annual lunch with the governor. In addition to that, he received the Sagamore of the Wabash Award, which the governor handpicks to honor those who are distinguished by their humanity in living, their loyalty and friendship, their wisdom and counsel, and their inspiration as a leader. And as Greg would say, he's living the dream in the Evansville region. Please join me in one more round of the tour, the Greg Wathen Retirement Tour, for his well-deserved retirement. I made a plea at the governor's lunch for those who attended to follow Greg's Twitter account. Here's your reminder again. And ironically, when I pulled it up this afternoon, Greg, you had 666 as the number of followers. So I'm not sure what kind of sign that's sending, but let's get Greg above 666, please. So talking about another distinguished Hoosier, this is really my honor to talk about our guest, our keynote speaker here. And ironically, I was telling, he was asking who our last keynote speaker was, and I was saying it was Becky Skillman, and she was from Bloomington. So I don't know what they're doing in Bloomington with the water. I heard they had an algae outbreak a couple weeks ago. Maybe Pete can talk a little bit about that. But they sure know how to grow amazing leaders. So Pete Yonkman is president of Cook Group and Cook Medical. And so he's here to deliver the keynote. Pete knows something about aligning business impact and community efforts for the most significant impact. Pete has been in the company for 20 years, starting in 2001 as in-house counsel. Pete has served various roles for Cook, including leading one of the local manufacturing sites and as an executive vice president for 10 business units. Pete was named president of Cook Medical in 2014, and later in 2015 added that same role for Cook Group. Pete was recently recognized as one of Indiana's most influential leaders. Cook is a business known for solving business and community challenges together. A great example of Cook stepping up recently includes partnering with Goodwill to build a manufacturing facility in Indianapolis. This project will bring 100 jobs to a disadvantaged community, and they will hire right out of the community. Cook is also committed to removing housing barriers for the middle-income workers of South Central Indiana. They recently announced an initiative in April to build 300 homes. They are building 300 homes. I'm sure he's going to get a lot more detail, but here's a company that's actually the builder, and they're building 300 homes to address critical need for workforce housing. I know there are many more examples about Cook and their wonderful executive leadership group. But these are just two fantastic illustrations that I can think of as business as a force for good. Pete's experiences have led him to believe that businesses don't yet fully understand the power they possess to make dramatic improvements in their community. He firmly believes that the more deeply connected a company is to its community, the more successful it will be. So please give us a big Evansville region welcome to Pete Yonkman.
Thank you. Good evening. It's great to be here with you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Jim, for the invitation. I'll give you a little bit of background about myself. I know some of you, but obviously not all of you. I'm a Hoosier through and through. I was born in Crown Point, Indiana. Went to high school in Crown Point. Live in Bloomington now for almost 28 years. And have two children, two boys, age 15 and 10. And have been with Cook for almost 21 years now. And I mentioned that I was from Crown Point. And so for those of you, maybe I don't know, some of you know, we call ourselves the region. You guys heard that term before? So we call ourselves the region. We used to call ourselves region rats, is what we call ourselves. Well, I noticed when I was growing up there that we sort of got left out of like state politics, and they forgot about us a little bit. Do you guys have that same feeling down here sometimes? Yeah, it's like it's hard to get their attention up there in Indianapolis sometimes. So what I've noticed is that over time, I've been hearing more and more about Evansville and all the positive things you have going on down here. And I didn't know the details of that, but what I've seen tonight is I now understand why. The connectedness you have in this group right here, to have 600 people who are interested in this topic and to come together, to have the clear vision, to have the coordination amongst for-profit, not-for-profit, and government is unique. I don't know if you know how unique that is. I get the opportunity to travel on a lot of communities, both in Indiana and across the globe, really. That doesn't happen everywhere. You guys are very fortunate, and you should be proud of the work that you've done. I hope you'll keep getting the attention of Indianapolis, because they need to know what's going on down here. Excuse me. I feel awkward giving this topic because of all the work that you're doing. I thought maybe I'd share some of my insights, but I have a feeling you probably already know all these insights. So what I'll do tonight is just share some of our experience and what we've learned over time, and maybe it'll inspire some thinking for you. And what I'd really like the opportunity, I'll put my email address out at the end. I'd really like to hear from you and some more ideas that we might consider. So what I'll do is I'll give you a little bit of background on who we are as Cook. So the company I work for, it's a great company. Was founded in 1963 by the Cook family in the spare bedroom of their apartment, classic American story. The baby on the right there is Carl Cook. He's now 60 and still family owned. Bill passed away in 2011, but Gail is still very active in historic preservation and charity and philanthropy issues. Carl is in every day. We have lunch together periodically. And we've obviously grown over time, so we have now almost 13,000. This slide's a little bit out of date. We have 13,000 employees in our primary business, which is making medical devices. And these are some of the devices that we make. So if you go into a hospital, the chances are and you have some sort of procedure, you probably will have a Cook device at some point. So some of the things that we make are things like balloon angioplasty, stents, kidney stone baskets. If you have an orifice, we can put something through it and hopefully make some money at the same time. We also have other businesses too. The family had lots of interests, so hopefully some of you have seen our French Lick and West Baden Resorts. That was a passion project by the family. The French Lick team is here. They would be happy to host your next EREP meeting on site. If they can get a space though. What's one of the really nice things about that group, they've done a wonderful job. Clearly a hard time during the pandemic for any hotel, as you can imagine. They've come roaring back and serving a lot of really great guests over time. So just to give a sense of who we are, so we are about 13,000 people globally. We have offices and we manufacture at about 14 different sites across the globe. But we're primarily a US-based company, so 9,000 of our people work here in the United States. We have over 7,000 people who work here in Indiana, so we're mostly a Hoosier company. And if you look at our headquarters are in Bloomington, and so a lot of our employees are based in southern Indiana, including our hotels. So that's who we are, but why do we exist? And it's interesting because we have lots of these different businesses, but what unites them all, I think, is sort of this common belief that the family had from the beginning, which is that we can be entrepreneurial, we can be businesses, but our true purpose is to empower people and communities to reach their full potential. And I was thinking about that on the way down. I think it's almost a fair statement if you think about why cities exist, or why regions exist, or why communities exist, is to help people reach their full potential and remove obstacles from that. And so I want to share with you some of the things. We think a lot about that. We think very deeply about how do we remove obstacles, how do we allow people to reach their full potential. And these obstacles that we've encountered are some sort of macro level issues. And I don't know if you guys feel this, but when I talk to people, I talk to our employees, I talk to people in the community leaders, it feels like people are unsettled in some way. There's a lot going on in the world that just makes it feel kind of off. There's lots of reasons for that, I think. But you can look at some of the big ones, obviously. A global pandemic, it's changed our workforce, it's changed the way people think, the way they work, the way they live. Clearly has a long-term impact on people. I get a sense from people when I talk to them, there's a fear of, is there a real middle-class pathway? What will my kids work, how will they find a job? If they don't want to be an engineer, they don't want to be a scientist, they don't want to be a coder, what's their pathway for them? China, particularly in our world, it's an issue, is what will be the role of China in the future? What will be the role of the US in the future? Who will lead? What will we become? Big issue, you talked about housing, I'm impressed with the housing work you're doing. I've heard some of the big money firms in the country say that today, 70% of the homes in the United States are owned by individuals and 30% are rented. They want to flip that in the next 10 years so that 30% of the homes are owned and 70% are rented. That disturbs me in some ways because I wonder what that means for communities. How do you build a community when people are renting their homes? And it changes the American dream at some level. But what's interesting, I've found over time, is that when people have these unsettling issues, they're turning more and more to us as a company to understand how do we solve these problems. I think in the past they may have turned to churches, they may have turned to government, they may have turned to their clubs they belong to. Those institutions are becoming less and less prominent and less trusted. If you go back and look in the last 10 years, I found this very interesting. The trust in news, the trust in government, trust in churches, trust in institutions is at an all-time low, but strangely, the trust in businesses is at an all-time high. That wouldn't have been the case, I don't think, if when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, if you asked people that, they wouldn't have put business at the highest level of trust. Now it's clearly that way. And the other interesting thing was when they asked people, should CEOs of companies be involved in solving society's problems, overwhelmingly they say yes. I don't know if that means they want them to be involved in political issues. They want them to be involved in solving community problems, much like you're doing here. So I guess the question then is also, who has the resources to help solve some of these problems? And so we did a little bit of research on that. And if you think about it, government in Indiana is big, has a big role to play. But there are about 405,000 government employees of some sort, and their expenditure each year is about $60 billion. If you put all of industry together, private industry, you have millions of employees and about $400 million of GDP. And so I think about the combined talent and the combined resources that government has versus what private industry has, and clearly private industry has a lot of skills and resources to bring to the table. So that's sort of a macro level of how we think about some of these challenges of upward mobility. But the other thing I think at a local level, at a personal level, is how do we get people on a pathway to upward mobility? Right? What is it in their lives that's going to make that possible? And particularly as a company, what can we be influential in? And so for us, that starts with education. I think everybody would agree, whatever pathway, if you're going to get on a pathway to upward mobility, it's going to start with education at some point. And then people need a job. They need their first job. They need a starting job. But more than that, they want a job with upward mobility. They want a career. And when that happens, then we see people who are empowered members of the community, and we have future generations that are impacted. I've been in meetings at Cook where we have 3 generations at the same table. So I had a grandmother, a mother, and a daughter at the same table. That to me is generational impact, and you can see the difference that's being created. But as we were thinking about that, so we've thought a lot about this and done a lot of work, that path to upward mobility, there are some obstacles and there's some barriers that happen that keep people from getting on that pathway. And we tried to sort of suss those out and understand each one of them. It could be things like somebody's experiencing homelessness or racial inequity, or they're struggling with a drug abuse or a drug addiction disorder, or they may have been imprisoned before or come from the judicial system. Those things tend to keep people stagnating and not being able to move up that pathway. So we really have tried to figure out what is our role as a company in these issues? How should we engage? How should we be a partner with the community? And I have come to believe that I think that it really is, for a lot of reasons, it's incumbent upon businesses to be actively engaged in solving these challenges. For all the reasons we talked about, the resources, the skills, but also because, I'll give you another reason. I've seen companies, particularly in our industry, that have been not connected to their communities. And if something happens that goes negative, the community turns on them very quickly. They're not there to help them. But when you're engaged in the community and when you're actively a participant and there's a trust built and it's no longer a transactional relationship, we've seen it when we've had times of trouble. The community comes and says, how do we help? We want you to be successful. Let's be a partner in this and work through it. So it changes the dynamic completely when people have seen you be a partner and be actively engaged in the community. And we really do believe it is possible to do good business and good to the community at the same time. So we do philanthropy. We will donate money, but we try to use our core business assets as tools of community improvement. And we'll talk about some of those examples here in a bit. So I talked about one of those barriers could be education. And I was in a meeting one day and a mom said, hey, I've worked here for 30 years. I want my son to come work here, but doesn't have a high school diploma. And at the time, we required high school diplomas for all of our employees. And we got to think about that. Well, that doesn't make any sense. So we started a program where people could work part-time in the morning and then go to school in the afternoon, because we have 25,000 people in our catchment zone that don't have a high school diploma yet but are of working age. So, excuse me, we knew that was an opportunity, but more than that, we wanted to be a partner in solving that challenge. So started off that program. We have now over 300 graduates out of that program. People of all ages from 18 to 65 have gone through. And then we also heard from our employees they wanted to go beyond that high school. So we figured out, we partnered with Purdue Global, Tech, and some others, and found a way to provide our employees free education up to a master's degree with no strings attached. And so that we think is a way for people, thank you. So we used to have an old reimbursement program where if you went to school, it would reimburse you later. We had 75 people in that. When we switched to we'll pay for you up front, and we don't put any strings on it, we have 1,000 people. We've retained that same number of 1,000 people in the program at any given time. So it shows you the need is there. We also started working with folks who have a disability of some sort. This is actually a project that goes back 40 years with Cook. Bill Cook started this project. And Stone Belt is an organization in our community that provides daily living services for people with significant physical disability or mental disabilities. And his idea was, they've got support for their daily lives, they don't have work, and work is very meaningful, so let's try to find a way to give those folks a job. And so what I want to do is share a video here with you. Her name is Anna, she's a client there. My wife is an occupational therapist and actually happened to work with her before this, but I want to share this video because I think it tells her story and the impact that using our business opportunities can have on people.
I have to have my headphones on. There's just something about the music that I can't explain. I don't know what it is. There's just something about it that helps me stay focused. I feel like normal. Normal is just a drier setting. Oh, because there's no such thing as normal. It's too early. Ugh, 5 more minutes. Mom, what time is it? I work at a sheltered workshop at Stone Belt, and I've been there for a little over 4 years. A lot of people don't see how I managed to put eye drops in my eyes. It used to be a 3-person operation, at least when I was young. I wouldn't have a reason to get up in the morning. I would just be sitting on my butt in the apartment with nothing to do. And that would not be a good thing. I feel my phone. Oh, there's my headphones. Yeah, I feel them. We're good. Okay. It gives me a sense of purpose. Friday can't get here soon enough, that's all I gotta say. Because it's payday. Hey Siri, how's the weather today? Brr. Alright, I'm out.
We believe that everybody should be able to work because work's an important part of your life. That's the first thing you ask people is, what do you do for a living? And when you say, nothing, you know, we take great pride in our jobs. And when you can come to work here in this accommodating place, it empowers them.
There's always that second button down that's being stubborn, you know?
Our mission is to prepare, empower, and support people with disabilities to be a part of the community and live a full life. All of our programs are based upon that and built around that.
90 to 95% of the time, make catheter connectors for Cook Medical. Because my eyesight is going downhill, I have to do them by feel. Stay in there.
We started with Cook over 30 years ago, and it just worked.
I can listen to my music, and I can do over 1,500 in an 8-hour time period.
So for staff out here, this is just a continual thing all day long. We're counting, we're QCing, we're counting, we're QCing. There's 26 different varieties of these, by size and color. I don't want people to give us work because they feel sorry for us. I want them to give us work because we do a really good job.
Cook needs these things to be spot on. There's no room for error.
They have as much ability as anybody else given the right surroundings and the right circumstances.
I like to make them as good as I possibly can. Quality over quantity. I just don't like to be put in a box. I don't like being controlled
Not that many years ago, people were sent to institutions when they had a disability or they were kept at home. It was an embarrassment. We believe everybody has something to give back to their community. Clients are having the opportunity to do what maybe they would never get the chance to do. And Cook provides that for us. Claudia does the payroll dance on Friday.
Yeah.
You're a pretty wild lady, aren't you, on payday? They're not shy about saying, we work for Cook. The thought that they are doing something that helps somebody is powerful for them.
It motivates me because it can potentially save people's lives.
When I came 16 years ago, we were doing about 2 million pieces a year. Last year we did 5.5 million, and I ran the numbers this morning, and we will be about 70,000 short of 6 million this year for 2019. So it's growing into a great partnership that is a win-win, I believe, for both of us.
You know, so what's interesting about that, 6 million units a year, it's a lot of work. And could we outsource that to Mexico? We could. But why not use that as an opportunity for folks who are looking for that opportunity, who need that support, who need that opportunity right here in our own community? Thank you. And that's what I mean, the difference between philanthropy and using our core business. So sometimes our core business is more impactful. Could we give money to Stone Belt? Yes. But I think, and when we've asked them the question, they would much rather have the work and the opportunity. So that's something I think we've learned along the way. We also started to work with people who are coming out of recovery or coming out of the judicial system. We learned very quickly that it was hard for us to hire those folks directly because they need a lot of support that we just weren't very good at, frankly. And so we partnered with a wonderful organization called Goodwill of Central and Southern Indiana, who I hope many of you know. And we outsourced, just like we did with Stone Belt, we outsourced some work to them. And they hire folks who are coming out of the judicial system who have coming out of recovery. And they have about 75 employees here now. They're going to about 200 over the next few years. And they find what they're really good at is they provide that wraparound services. It's like a family for people who are going through recovery. They understand the issues, they understand the schedules they go through. So that's been very successful. And our success there led us to working with Goodwill again in Indianapolis. And this was after George Floyd was murdered. And we saw a lot of companies making statements about racial inequity and things. And we decided we weren't going to make statements, we wanted to do something. And so we partnered with Goodwill again, went to meet with a lot of folks in Indianapolis and a lot of communities, and we fell in love with a neighborhood in 38th and Sheridan Street. And now we're building, actually are operational now, they're actually building, less than 2 years later, our building product. It's a 50,000 square foot manufacturing site, provides free education for all the folks there, all the wraparound services from Goodwill. We made a goal of having 100% minority contractors and local labor. We achieved that. We were told that we could only get 30% if we tried hard, but we worked hard and found a way to make it 100%. And the interesting thing is the community actually invested $4 million. So through CICF, they invested $4 million in this facility. So the community itself actually owns 51% of the building and will make profits from rent on that to go back into the community. As we were in the neighborhood there, we realized that, heard from our potential employees that this was a food desert. All the grocery stores in the last 5 years, 5 grocery stores in the last 5 years had left. We met these 2 local entrepreneurs who were trying to build a grocery store. It was nothing more than a small bodega. And we talked to them and said, hey, we know how to build buildings, we know how to finance projects, you guys know how to run grocery stores, let's build one right here in the community. So right across the lot from our manufacturing facility, we're in the process now of building a 15,000 square foot full service grocery store that we will finance, but these 2 entrepreneurs will own over time as they operate the business. So it'll be fully owned, own the business, the real estate, and the business itself. And so I want to share a little bit about, as we're going through these projects, I want to share a little bit about what we've learned going through them. I have always been a big believer in economic development, and I have always been a part of it and always been a champion of it. I'll give you an example. We're part of an organization called 16 Tech up in Indianapolis, which is bringing all the tech companies and leveraging all that resource for the university. It's a great thing. We're a part of it. We have a building there, and it's a great project. Except I was in the community, and I was in the community here at our manufacturing store. I met an individual who had lived in that community for 30 years and said, you know, I've lived there for 30 years. We have our own economic development plan, and we had our own community things going. The state built this park, put $140 million in it. It was like they dropped a giant UFO and said, be happy about it. An interesting perspective, I thought. And so it really attuned me to the issue of we need to be very careful how we think about economic development and who we're economically developing for. And you know, I think when we look at the traditional metrics of success of economic development, these are them. And you can all think about, are we creating new jobs, increasing tax revenue, new business development, home ownership increase, increased median income, and all those things are great. And there's the playbook. I can almost give you the playbook of how most economic development works. And I would say I think that is needed. Right? Our communities need this type of economic development. But that type of economic development doesn't work for every community. And so what we see a lot of times is when you engage in this game plan, it leads to displacement and gentrification. And so I think it's very interesting to think about where we're doing economic development, who we're doing it for, and are we doing that economic development across our community. And so we tried to take all the things we just talked about and all the things we learned, we tried to bring that to bear up in our neighborhood in Indianapolis. So we wanted to do something holistically. So we started getting engaged in all these activities around community, same things you're looking at, right? Community health. What are the indicators of community health? And how do we work with that community to lift up that community, not displace it, but lift up that existing community to be successful and healthy? And so we created what was called, this actually came from the community itself, it's called the Sankofa Access Zone. It's a word that sort of means looking backwards, and it's signified with this bird grabbing a rock off its back. And the idea being that these communities have a lot of wisdom to be learned from the history, and a lot of energy to be gained from that history. We just need to look back, grab it, and move it forward. And so this is the zone that we're working with here. This is Indianapolis, so it's 34th to 42nd and Sherman to Shadeland. And there are about 10,000 residents in this area. And we thought rather than just being, we want to be a neighbor and we want to be good neighbors, but how could we help bring everybody to the table, sort of like you've done, bring every stakeholder to the table and say, we want to make this community as healthy as it can possibly be. And what does that mean? And so one of the things that you hear about, if you commissioned a report, if you were thinking about moving up to there, here's the report that you get back about that community. And it would tell you that crime is high, poverty is extremely high, our median income is about $21,000, and people aren't educated, and it's dangerous. I'll give you an example. When we had a cleanup day when we were working on our manufacturing site, the first thing we want to do is do a community cleanup because it had been a dumping ground. And so we had about 50 employees from Bloomington that volunteered to go up, and our security team put out a memo to them saying, don't lock your doors, don't stop at a restaurant, don't stop at a gas station. That's how deeply embedded it is in this belief of this community. When you go to this community, it's a wonderful community. Terrific people. They have history. They're more connected than any neighborhood I've ever been connected with. They have neighborhood presidents who take care of their neighbors. They bring food to people. They have all this wonderful community. There's some spots that, yes, you probably won't want to go to, but in general, it's a wonderful community that has a reputation that precedes it. And so what the communities, what they want to be is they want inclusive collaboration. So they want to be part of the discussion about economic development. They want to be part of how they grow. And you can see, I think, not dissimilar to what our purpose is, they want to remove barriers and reach their full potential. It's interesting to me that I've seen you guys talk about full potential. And so these are our partners. We brought as many people as we could to the table. It's still growing, but we have a common vision. Just like you guys have a common vision for what you want your community to be, this community has its vision too. They start off by saying, we want this to be inclusive of the people who live here today. So many neighborhoods in Indianapolis, they've seen gentrification, they've seen economic development that had not been benefit for local communities, and so they want to make sure that we focused on that. And so this is what we're focused on as a group over the next 5 years. I think it matched up sort of similar to the things that you've been saying in terms of healthcare outcomes above the national average. Today, if you live in this neighborhood, your life expectancy is 10 years below just 5 blocks away. And that says something. They want to be able to have food access. They want to be able to, most of the families that were living there were shopping in gas stations for their food. That doesn't seem right to them, and I agree with them. If you're a community, how do you not have a grocery store? They want sound infrastructure. They want investments. Their schools, it's been shown that schools have higher lead percentage of water in their school drinking water than other schools throughout Indianapolis. Why is that? And what can we do about it? They want safety and security. So interesting to me to hear about the national news and talk about defunding the police or whatever. When you talk to the neighbors, they are tremendous partners with the police. They know they need their help, and they want to be partners with them in a positive way. They want opportunities for jobs, but not just jobs at a gas station or a liquor store. They want opportunity for jobs, the career, and housing is a huge issue, obviously. And they want to take pride in their own community. They don't want us to tell them, here's what we're going to do for you. They want us to come alongside them and be a partner with them. And so we've committed very deliberately to say, whatever resources we deploy, whatever finances we put in is going to be alongside their energy, not energy that we've created for them. So I think about, obviously you guys have thought a lot about this. In general, what can people do? One is, I think, for businesses to realize they have to be engaged and can be engaged in a very positive way. And you can do it profitably. None of the things that we talked about today are charity. They're all just part of our business plan. It's how we choose to execute our business plan. I talked about aligning your energy with the communities. And then you obviously done a wonderful job convening your stakeholders and bringing people together, as evidenced by tonight. And I also think some of these issues that we're facing, whether it's education or healthcare or some of these big issues, they aren't high-level policy issues that are going to be solved in Indianapolis state legislature. They're going to be solved one person, one community, one neighborhood at a time. And so it's really important to be with our neighbors working on them. And I want to leave you tonight with one final challenge. So this is something we created called the CEO Challenge. One of the things that I found was that as we talked about these issues, I would talk to a lot of leaders of business or government leaders or community leaders, actually really more business leaders more than anything. And they would be engaged in CICP, they'd be engaged in big organizations who would they'd commission studies, and they would go out and they'd talk about these issues, but they had never been in the community themselves to actually see what was happening in the community. And so what we created was a 24-hour challenge was for CEOs to say, look, we want you, no entourage, no VP of community liaisons, just you yourself. We want you to come out and give us 3 days, or three 8-hour days. So 24 hours, 3 8-hour days. First 2 days, we have people that come out and they meet the church leaders, they meet the parishioners, they meet the not-for-profits, they meet the schools, they meet the community leaders, they meet the neighborhood presidents. And then that third day, we take them on a ride-along with the police to the most challenged area of the neighborhood. We've done 10 CEOs so far, and I can tell you, people's understanding of what the solutions are very different than what they thought they were before. And so we'd be happy to host any of you, or if you'd like to do it in your own community, I highly suggest it. As we've been through Indianapolis, I have joined all the 9 neighborhood presidents associations. I've learned a lot from that community about what they need and what their challenges are and how they want the solutions to be brought to them. So just want to say thank you for the opportunity. Congratulations on all you've done here in Evansville. It's highly impressive, and I tell you, you're very fortunate. And thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was extraordinary. It was all that we thought. We're going to take you up on a dozen of those ideas. We're not above robbing and duplicating or otherwise copying exactly your vision. But I do think, as we kick off a few more minutes of this conversation this evening, that we in this room should be rightly proud of the fact that we're paying attention to the same things, that we are reaching some of the same conclusions, and that some of the challenges that you saw in Pete's list there that Cook is going after with intent are very similar to some of the things that organizations in this community are working on. So if it validates what we're doing, thank you, sir. If it inspires more of it, we appreciate that as well, but it's a great honor to have you here tonight, so thank you very much. Let's give this gentleman one more round of applause. I'm Tara Barney. I'm the CEO of this great organization, the Evansville Regional Economic Partnership, and I am thrilled to be with you this evening. On your table, you see an annual review. Jim mentioned it. It's a summary of what we do, but I can say it in just a couple words. In essence, we are the group that's paying attention every day to what you do, and you can expect us to be putting our focus on how we strengthen this region's economy. One of the ways we do it was just, I think, ably demonstrated. We do it by partnering with you. You hire people, you make great products with value, you deliver critical services to your fellow residents, and you develop the amenities, you educate our youth. The list of what you do is long. Our role as an organization, and those of you that volunteer with us know this well, is to essentially clear the obstacles, to fill the gaps, if you will, to identify and deliver opportunity where we see those glimmers of opportunity for us. We try to address challenges every day in the work we do. The biggest is certainly talent. I don't have to ask the audience here. I know that if I talk to every one of you, you'll say, getting our hands around how we are developing talent and planning forward for the talent that our region both wants and needs is a Herculean effort. And I'm off script, so I'm sorry about that. But we do have the opportunity in this region to leverage our unique strengths to do more and to do it better. So tonight, I'm going to make a couple of asks. Not for money, we'll do that, but that's another time. But to ask you to leverage our assets, you and your organizations. Pete Yachtman is addressing the business needs of Cook with some very compelling initiatives that are part of the business plan. I love that specificity because we have great philanthropic leaders and generous givers in this region, and we have many businesses that are doing things just like that. And as you are doing those same things, we want to be in the business of telling your stories. So we're going to ask you to help us to embed in the best practices of your organizations into the culture of this region. Because if our region can become one of those that has 50 stores like we just heard, we will begin to be the region that people choose not just to come and live in, but to stay in. So between our lifelong locals and our newest residents, we really do have an abundance of opportunity here. We've got compelling people, we've got great talents, and we've got lots of perspectives. We really are, I think, looking to our future. And tonight, having you all here tonight is an extraordinary validation of what we've been doing for the last few years. This really is where Talent EVV comes into the picture. You've heard, some of it, you've heard about Talent 2025. We've reorganized our thought process with the reference to Talent EVV because it is a set of shared objectives that we hope will help us to grow our population faster, align our employer needs, all of your needs for a highly trained workforce that is globally relevant, and also to align it with the aspirations of our residents. We need to do both. We can't do one or the other. Talent EVV is about living a more healthy and satisfying life and driving down the number of households that are in poverty. It is about investing in upward mobility and equitable prosperity for all of our residents, both those that are here now and those that are coming. My friends, these are stretch goals. We're not going to get here unless we do so together. So I'm going to stop and I'm going to tell you how much I appreciate what you're doing in this region already. More to come, and we're going to keep asking it of you. But honestly, I'm inspired every day by the work you're doing. On behalf of our board of directors who are committed to these goals, I'm standing here tonight to thank you for your creative energy. You are putting us on the map in arts, in sports, for enabling the disadvantaged in our community. For you public servants that are with us, thank you for your genuine commitment to the communities that you serve. They're your communities and they're our communities. And thank you for your dedicated service to our kids. JA, the Ys, our school districts, our faith communities, our many organizations that are opening doors for and really to support our most precious asset, our kids. So thank you, keep it up. Tell EREP and all those board members you saw in this room, tell us how we can help you, because we are about nothing more important than making sure our kids have a great path into the work and the life of this community. So Talent EVV is our shared pledge for growth and for a bright future that we envision for this region. It's a framework. We're going to get from here to there if we do it together. So here comes my first ask. This fall, specifically November 2nd, I invite you to bring your expertise as an organization to the table. EREP, in partnership with the United Way of Southwestern Indiana, with JA, with the Wellborn Baptist Foundation and with many others, invites you to co-own this work as we go forward to the future. I want you to think about taking this opportunity to connect with other organizations, some in this room, some not, from around this region that have great ideas, that are engaged in successful initiatives, and will. You'll hear from your colleagues that day, and they'll get a chance to hear from you. We're going to ask each business, each organization, each level of government that's in this room tonight to appoint a delegate to represent your business, your organization, your community, and to start charting this collective vision together. Now I'm guessing, looking around the room, most of you have your iPhone in your hand right now, right? At least a lot of you do. I know you. I'd like you to grab that phone and scan the QR code that's at the bottom corner of your program. So it's up on that screen. Scan that QR code, if you will, down on the bottom, and register. Register yourself, or pick someone in your organization who will be jazzed about intentional conversations with other like-minded folks, exploring the ways that the work you are doing can strengthen our region's future. Sign up. Do it right now. If you want to change it, we'll help you with that later. But if you sign up now, we will be in touch and we'll make sure that you are involved in the summit on November 2nd. I'm seeing action. Keep it up. More is good. While you have that phone in your hand, you'll also see another QR code on the program. I'm going to ask you to open that one too, so just hang with me here. Seriously, business leaders in this community have been taking huge collective action on diversity, equity, and inclusion matters more than ever before. Early career talent is demanding an inclusive workplace. We're here as an organization to help you communicate your welcoming and inclusive work environment and to demonstrate that you are a part of this long overdue journey. No DEI journey is the same, and that's why EREP is committed to enabling your path and providing the resources and best practices that will help your organization to be on that step toward creating the environment that will make your workplace a very sticky choice for talent. Over the past 2 years, many leaders in this community have shared their organization's initiatives. We've hosted Zoom calls, we've done programs, you've heard from a lot of great strategies in this region. So we've built a toolbox, if you will. It's a set of useful programs, content, experts, consultants. Jim put up a screen, a little highlight of it. It's important content. It's a start. We hope you will use it. We hope you will let us know what else belongs there and let us know if you have a better initiative that's not in that toolbox. But my second ask is this. Take that phone and scan the other QR code on that page and let us know that you're doing something. If you take action, we'll get back to you. We want to share what you're doing, collect this information, and begin to be a region that can share best practices and make progress in this challenging opportunity, but great opportunity for our region. So I want to thank you for both of those. I know I'm asking you to work. You came for a nice evening. We need some work from you. But this evening, we have the privilege of recognizing an individual who has long championed inclusive workplaces. He leads personally. He is shoulder to shoulder with employees, building a culture of trust and empowerment throughout the ranks of the organization. He's one that has high aspirations for our region and discipline to keep his eye on those goals. We appreciate that. We need both aspiration and discipline. Regardless of the complexities of those goals, and there are many, he leads an organization that has worldwide scope. Yet, when this gentleman pulls into his garage after returning from some distant operation somewhere, he gets out of his car, he rolls up his sleeves, and he engages. He shows up for us, and he shows up with us. The Distinguished Business Leader Award recognizes an individual that leads an organization with vigor, with creativity, and with practices that represent the best examples of our region's long history as a center of commerce. I'm looking at people in this room that are multi-generational businesses in the commerce of this region. We want to make sure that we are recognizing that we are building our future economy on the extraordinary work you've done over the decades and centuries for this region. So our honoree tonight represents a team that has prioritized the development of a thoughtful, diverse workplace where all are accepted and where all have the opportunity to thrive equally and contribute to success. Here's a bit.
Tom has had a unique perspective of moving to Evansville. What he's been able to do really is bring a different lens and help us understand what we can do to improve not only the community, the workplace, but how we can attract, retain, and really hire new talent into the organization.
What I do is always try to empower our individuals, to give them trust, to let them perform their job, give them the resources to get it done, and continue to support them along the way.
Tom is one of the most passionate, visible leaders that we could ever ask for inside the organization. Tom is right there with us in every challenge that we set out to tackle.
One of those things that's most important to us is around sustainability and making certain that we're doing our part relative to circularity and driving more reuse of the products that we make each and every day. Berry has an entrenched investment in the Evansville area with over 2,000 employees, making their livings here, raising their families here, educating their children here. It's critical that we continue to evolve this region to make it a region that ultimately not only is good for people that grew up here, but people who want to migrate and locate here from different parts of the country and different parts of the world. We're really uniquely positioned, so our best days are ahead of us, and I can't wait to see the benefits that our team members and partners inside Berry will bring to the communities in which they serve and the marketplaces in general.
Sir? Please join me in welcoming a man with intent, discipline, focus. Yes, he happens to be the CEO of Berry Global. It's a phenomenal hometown success story. Sir, we're honored to represent this award with you tonight.
Thanks, Jerry. Good evening, everyone. Over the next 20 minutes or so, I have prepared comments for the room. Greg, congratulations, by the way. Your contribution to this community is it's unrivaled, so I wish you the very, very best. It's interesting, and I'm a reluctant recipient of this award, I assure you. I'm sitting at tables 7 and 8. I'm joined by team members from Berry, 47,000 strong. I'm joined by my wife of 27 years. We've been with each other for 30. She's been by my side each and every day. And I was listening, to some of Pete's comments up there, and just outstanding. I thought the best opportunity to show this community collaboration, Pete, was to allow us to do all your injection molding on a worldwide basis. I'd be happy to have that conversation. We can definitely get that done. We'll write that contract this evening. But I'm a little bit unique, and I have to say this in that my ventures to Evansville started in 1987. So, Ron Romaine had a full head of hair then. F's was the best steakhouse in town, for sure. There was a hotel at Oak Meadow. Whirlpool was the largest appliance manufacturer in the world. And look, a lot of that's changed, and we continue to grow and we continue to thrive. Berry, for that matter, was a tiny company. Now it's represented in 38 countries around the world, has 47,000 employees. It has a who's who in terms of the customers we serve around the world. And it's all starting right here. So, I heard many of the comments in terms of, the opportunity and where we're beginning and the things that we want to do in this community. And it can get done. And you can see many companies start out small and then they ultimately grow to large, conglomerate, Fortune 250, Fortune 270 companies. That can happen again. That can happen for more companies in this region if we continue to work and collaborate together. As Tara said, I have been very steadfast and consistent in terms of my ambitions to make this community that much better each and every year. And as Arnold Palmer used to say, greatness is always under construction. And that's the opportunity that Evansville has in front of it right now. But it requires leaders like yourselves. It requires the EREP to organize and to harness the energy and motivation to get that done. And I'm confident we can get that done, because not only will it be good for the community, but it's a necessity for the community going forward. For us to attract world-class talent, to retain them, to keep them here, these efforts from EREP are critical. They get executed, get supported by business as well as local government. I thank you again humbly for this recognition. I'm very grateful, and I accept it on behalf of all the Berry employees around the world. Thank you so much.
Whew. Sometimes my script doesn't quite measure up to those observations, but vision and intent. I think I'm going to walk away with those two words. But the other thing that Tom referenced that is critical to our talent is sustainability. We have to be a region that is welcoming and inclusive. We have to demonstrate it and walk that walk at our times. Being a community that has great outdoor options, rivers, trails, our parks, cool places together, these matter to talent that we want to migrate here, as Tom said, to talent that lives here. Our future residents must be attracted to this region by presenting a region that aligns with their vision. Barry Global's story and Tom's commitment to driving sustainability both within Barry and through its customers and vendors, that's a powerful notion. So not just the company engaging themselves, but how they work with their vendors and their customers is a model that I think we want to walk away from Tom's comments with. And really, it's how we divine the best of this region, I think. So again, congratulations. But while I'm talking talent, you're going to hear me say that a few times tonight. Honestly, Pete referenced the work of economic development. I've been doing it my whole career. Now economic development is about talent. Yes, we need sites. Yes, we need lots of power. Thank you, Centerpoint and others. But we need talent. It is the competitive issue of the day. We must clearly and consistently share our strengths, what we do well here, with those that are making decisions about where they want to work and where they want to live. So I have one more request for you tonight. It does not involve your phone. You can still use it. But EREP has built a very strong marketing team over the past year. They wrote a great Ready grant. They've produced great events like this. And we, I think, as a community, are ahead of the curve in using this team and your work to tell our best story to those folks that we want to attract, both people and businesses. We need to keep our talent here. I'm so appreciative of having the universities here in town. Many of you know the exact number of your students that are staying. Thank you. Keep up the good work. But having our employees choose this region to build their careers in is a huge opportunity for us. The foundation of communicating our strengths and what's great about us began several years ago. We began to build a regional brand, E is for everyone, and it's come to represent the Evansville region. It's an invitation to rally together, to celebrate the vibe of our community, and to really invite everyone to contribute by getting involved in whatever capacity you can. Some's big, some small. We need to take ownership and pitch in and do our part to make this region thrive. So this year, EREP has made a big investment in the tools needed to share our story. Visit our refreshed website. We think it's great. Use the updated photo library. Look for new stories. There are images there, and there's tools for you to use in your communication with your websites and your communication to your customers and constituents. We are executing a targeted digital marketing campaign right now aimed directly at the talent that you need now and into the future. So I'm asking you to help us sell this region. It's your region. Use these tools, embed the E in your brand any way you can, share your best stories on the social media platforms that you choose. Talk about the Evansville region and talk about your favorite parts of it, whatever they are. On your table tonight, we put a collection of E-pins and stickers. We hope you'll wear them proudly. You are all champions for this region and co-owners of this work. Speaking of champions, our Community Champion Award tonight recognizes an organization that demonstrates how its work, its guiding principles, accelerate our success. This year's Community Champion contributes mightily to the community we want and to the community our future residents expect. Everyone in this room, I'm pretty sure, has a personal experience, and a good one. It's childcare, it's camp, it's swim lessons, it's youth sports, it's senior health programs, my personal favorite. The list is long. What's extraordinary about this year's honoree, in a word, relevance. They execute on mission, they adapt to community needs, neighborhood by neighborhood sometimes. They're the first to partner, the first to collaborate, to take a risk if it will serve. For our youth, for healthy living, for social responsibility, it's my honor to recognize the YMCA of Southwestern Indiana, its staff, its volunteers, and all of its members as the community champion this year.
I often think about our youth programs and how many kids we've served over the decades. 165 years, we've been in this community.
We serve over 35,000 people last year, or 8,500 youth. When you look at over time, you can see, the impact on the individuals.
An indirect benefit of forming a friendship, mentoring a kid.
Our mission is meeting people's needs where they're at. So we exist to meet the needs and making the community stronger by being there to serve those people individually and what they need and serve the entire community.
Our YMCA has always responded to community needs of today.
Impact is felt when an individual makes a good, healthy choice, when a mentor inspires or encourages a child,
and when a community comes together for the common good. And I think that impact isn't necessarily something people search for when they come here, but it's definitely something that they get.
Please join me in welcoming Jonathan Pope, the CEO of the YMCA.
Well, thank you, Tara. Thank you. I'm just honored, and I just want to say humbled, and am really humbled to be standing up here representing the Y. But I do that gladly on behalf of the board of directors and the team that's here tonight, and all of the YMCA staff that make it what it is. There's a fascinating story I just got to tell you, and I'm gonna be brief. I don't want to scare anybody, but there's a connection with the Y and the recipient of the award, obviously, that we just had, and Tom Salmon and Barry Global. You saw Rogers Greenwald. He's our board chair. And the day of the taping, the cameraman came up to tape the microphone onto Rogers, one of the cords, so it wouldn't show. Rogers quickly recognized that the tape was from Frankfort, Kentucky, and it was a Barry Global product. So a quick way to do an inspection. We are grateful for all of the organizations like Barry Global and Old National and Centerpoint and all the partners in this room that make the Y what it is. Tara did a great job pretty much saying what the Y is, and I'm not going to spend any more time doing that, but I am going to show you what the Y is in about 30 seconds. So if you have served on a YMCA board currently or in the past, please stand. If you can't stand, or if you don't want to stand, let out a woohoo. Thank you. Thank you. Continue to stand. If you've been a member of the Y at some point, currently or in the past, please stand. Round of applause. If you've been a program participant, gone to Camp Carson, learned how to swim in a YMCA pool, have been employed by the Y, currently or in the past, have donated, volunteered, or partnered with the organization, please stand or let out a loud yell. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Y. This is the YMCA. As you look around the room, this is really what the Y is. It's not about a building. It's not about a fancy logo. It's not about that great song from the 1970s. It's really about the community of people that you see around this room. And it's because of you, the individuals in this room, that have made the Y capable of serving the community needs in this organization. People like you that have made the Y capable of serving the community's needs in this organization for 165 years. It's because of you that we have a YMCA. So because of you, we're here for good, and that means we're here for the long haul, and we're here for the biggest regional impact that we can make. Thanks again for this honor, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for getting everything out of those As you can see, the Y is more than just a great place to work out. They really are a driving force in developing our future talent, and it's a story worth telling. Now, I'm a new Hoosier, most of you know. Many of you have many generations of history here. This community is rooted in deep connections and traditions. We are blessed with institutions that have served us for decades, many decades. Our final honoree this evening, the Business of the Year, is in the rare category of a century and more as a business institution. Founded on the banks of the Ohio River, no, Jim, it's not O&B. I know that's where everyone goes. This institution was founded on our great river at the request of the business community, all of us. A few other organizations are more of this region. Our Business of the Year has been serving with impact, both at scale and, even more important, one life at a time. From its children's hospital to the new Serenity Park that welcomes all for respite, they care for our families, our employees. They lead powerful collaborations with and among our healthcare community. And tonight we celebrate our great good fortune to have Ascension St. Vincent caring for us, employing thousands of us and securing the health and lives of people throughout the tri-state region for 150 years.
Community needs to be healthy for businesses to be successful and for our region to be successful. Ascension St. Vincent, Evansville has been part of this community now for a century and a half. We've partnered with businesses throughout the region. Our history is full of collaborations throughout the community. Service of the poor is fundamental to our mission. It has been for the last 150 years and will continue to be going forward.
We are caring for those that maybe nobody else would care for and really just living our mission of being a Catholic hospital. For me, working at Ascension St. Vincent has not only allowed me to meet my professional goals, but also has helped me meet my personal goals and feel like I'm serving others.
Being an Ascension St. Vincent employee to me means that I get to really live why I went into medicine. It allows me to do that every day, to live by my values and the shared values that we have as an organization, and to really make a difference in this community and in this region. We take care of everyone who comes to us, regardless of insurance status, ability to pay. That really is just fundamental to who we are.
Please join me in welcoming to the stage Alexander Chang, Ascension St. Vincent Evansville's President, South Region, and most important, a new member of the Evansville Regional Economic Development Board. So, sir, nice to have you in town.
As you can see, we're celebrating our 150th anniversary. So I'm riding in on the coattails because I've been here 7 weeks. So I feel part of the team. But one of the things in the short time that I've been here is been able to meet with all of our mission associates. And I get to see how they live and breathe our values every day at our hospitals. And I wanted to take the time to recognize our 2021 Mission Associate of the Year, who's with us in the audience, Kelly Paul. She's a retail pharmacist and has been instrumental for so many different things. And she really embodies St. Vincent's and what we're all about. And she's done so many things, including our COVID clinics. And so it's people like Kelly, our staff, and our board members who are here in the audience that have really helped us make what St. Vincent is all about. And I can't accept this award without their help. And so that's very important to me, and that's something we wanted to share, that we are people. Lastly, I wanted to say is I've, again, only been here a short amount of time, but I've been impressed with the commitment and collaboration of the member organizations in this room, right? It's very special, and I've come from other places, and it's dynamic, and it's this collective momentum that I see that makes us proud to be a member of the partnership. So again, kudos to you all, and thank you. Thank you for this award. It's a great honor.
I got to give a shout out to Kelly too, because I spent lots and lots of hours helping register people to get their shots a year or so ago. So congratulations, Kelly. So we're a region rich in talent. We've got opportunities for all. And in the resources and businesses that we need to thrive here, the amenities that can make us a nationally recognized place to call home, it's where we're headed, my friends. And Town EV is the plan to get us there. With leaders like Tom Salmon, with champions like the Y, with institutions that have anchored us for 150 years, some more of whom are in this room, we've got something good going on here. One more round for our evening honorees, please. And I'm going to ask just a point of privilege. This is a perfect time for me to take a second to extend my thanks to the EREP staff for all your hard work to make this evening happen. Would you stand up, folks? There's a lot of talent standing up right now. Their energy is extraordinary. EREP is off to a great start with these folks working together on behalf of all of your businesses every day. We're incredibly lucky to have them serving our community. So I appreciate your support of them. I appreciate your support of us. But my real opportunity now is to invite our chairs, our outgoing chair and our incoming chair to the stage, if I might, for just a moment. Yeah, let's give it. They're saving it up for you, Kurt. Jim, you have done an extraordinary job as our first chair. We can't say enough about the rocky shoals we found ourselves on from time to time and the way you managed us through it. So we want to thank you for all this. This is a little quick minute that weighs 55 pounds of some highlights of his year. And there's a few other things for you. But really, there's a few other things coming your way that include some liquid refreshment. So stay tuned. And with that, even though, Kurt, this is not your ball game for another few days, we'd love to give you the podium.
Sure. Thank you, Tara, and I can hear Linda White in my ear going, all right, let's wrap this thing up, because we do have some exciting things coming to the stage tonight. Jim, another thank you on behalf of me and being our first chair of EREP. I mean, it really was your vision that made this happen. And as you can imagine, there's opinions of many, and Jim found a way to get a voice of one, and that was not an easy task. And I certainly learned a lot, but I truly value not only your leadership, but the friendship that we've developed over the past couple of years. So thank you very much. So what does the future have in store for us? So I'm just going to walk through a couple of things, and then we will kick off the final event of the evening. You heard a lot of things tonight about all the things that we have done as a community to bring us to where we're at today, but there is so much work left to be done, and that's how you truly can separate yourself and separate this region from other regions throughout, not only the state of Indiana, but from the United States and then of course across the world. The further development of our riverfront remains one of the greatest opportunities still in front of us. Over 150 years ago, we heard it. Ascension St. Vincent opened their doors along our riverfront, and since then, the river has remained our region's greatest opportunity and our heartbeat. While it's the most unique, defining asset, its potential is still unlimited. The business community, along with the public sector, can continue to partner and make the opportunities for us to continue to make this the place that people want to call home. The Ohio River connects us from the east of Warwick County through Vanderburgh County all the way to the west in Posey County. It's the I-69 corridor that connects Gibson County to the north and the I-69 bridge that will connect Henderson County to the south, truly creating that regional focus that we heard about tonight. What can we do different tomorrow and better tomorrow to take us further, faster? We'll work creatively to attract further development along our corridor so we can go further. For us to compete in these dynamic times, we must develop attractive sites in our region that has small and large businesses in mind and have this be the place that they want to call home. You heard Tom talk about that tonight. Barry started as a very small injection molding manufacturer, and yes, we like that order, to where we've grown to now being a global manufacturer and provider of jobs throughout the world, but this is home. And there's so much that is part of our culture that's been built from here that we've spread across through all of our facilities. As I close out my comments, I have 3 key takeaways tonight, because what is to come? What can you expect of EREP to come? We'll continue to align our strategic work with Talent EVV. If you don't know what that is, look it up. I don't want you to get your phone out now, but you can remember Talent EVV. If you have questions, please get with some of the folks in the room or use the QR code. We need to continue to find ways to get more engaged and really elevate what we're doing here to attract talent, retain talent, and develop talent. We'll build upon the strong foundation that the merger has already started. We're already getting a lot of attention, and we're getting a lot of collaboration amongst other small associations that want to be a part of the winning team. Those are exciting times. Collaborating and combining those resources is what will bring success. And third, we'll ensure that EREP is properly resourced to achieve our goals of Talent EVV. The important thing here, and what we cannot lose sight of, is we must maintain strong membership and an investor base in order to get the work done. Tom mentioned it, Tara's mentioned it, everybody up here has been here before me knows how important that is. It takes sweat equity, but it also takes some cash to get things across the finish line. And all of you have been extremely generous, philanthropic. That's the beauty of this whole area. But we need to continue to find ways to drive that forward. Everyone in this room has been invited to take action with us. You're part of the success story, so be with us as we craft a shared vision for regional transformation and economic growth for all. Stand with us in committing to make an impact in the region we call home. Stand with us in building a stronger community together. Thank you for being here this evening. And the future talent of our region is going to close us out as they invite us to stand by them.
One, two, three, four. Boom, 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 when the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see.
No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me.
If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountain should crumble in the sea,
No, I won't cry. I won't cry. No, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand by me. So stand by me, stand by me, stand by me. Ba ba bum chick bum, ba ba bum chick bum, ba bum chick bum.